Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that the time has come once again for me to sit down in my chair and record a controversial video. Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is ThePromG. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, today, what I wanted to do was discuss something that has recently caused somewhat of an uproar or controversy in the manga community, and that is, of course, the announcement, or rather lack thereof, of a Tokyo Revengers physical release. Now, as of when this video is uploaded, it's been about a week since this all happened, but as of when I'm recording it, this all happened last night. Basically, if you're out of the loop, Kodansha, who owns the license to Tokyo Revengers, put out on Twitter that there is going to be some exciting news, some special announcement about Tokyo Revengers that they're going to announce live in their Kodansha live broadcast. Of course, everybody was hoping it would be a physical English release, as we have yet to have one or even any word of when one would be coming. But alas, this exciting news was merely a Q&A with the author of the manga, which is still pretty cool, but of course, a lot of fans were let down expecting this physical English release. Now, in this video, I'm going to give my personal opinion on why I think this was just such a stupid decision from Kodansha, not only to have not released these physical editions in English as of yet, but also how they basically clickbaited and led on their customer base into thinking they were going to get something that was just not the case. Now, after this all went down last night, I was seeing a lot of people on Twitter, especially, as well as other social media platforms, saying that, these people who wanted this physical release for Tokyo Revengers, people who were expecting it and were really excited for it, were actually just being extremely entitled and unfair to Kodansha. And I understand that some people went about it the wrong way, such as trashing all of these shoujo series that they were announcing in the same Kodansha Live, but I also think that companies are open to be criticized and to have their decisions critiqued. Take, for example, this tweet that I saw this morning. The "I demand the manga I want in print" publisher folks are identically cringy regardless of gender, age, or visibility. I promise you don't actually understand anything about publishing if you think print releases guarantee profit. Now, in my personal opinion, you don't have to be 100% in the know of what goes on behind the scenes to kind of critique and make speculations about a certain decision. Take, for example, the Dark Horse fiascos that have been going on, where they put out a new edition such as an omnibus for one of their series, such as Gantz or Blade of the Immortal, and then out of nowhere, they just stop printing volumes of the omnibus in order to push a new deluxe edition. This could very well be the best financial decision for Dark Horse, but do we as the consumers who are actually buying these products not have any say or right to speculate and discuss or critique these decisions? I think that's just absolutely absurd. But to first give a little bit of context surrounding Tokyo Revengers and its popularity, it would be an understatement to say that Tokyo Revengers is one of the most popular and buzzing ongoing manga series in existence right now. The anime adaptation for this series has been rolling out and has received great reviews and has been one of the most popular series of this current season. And before the anime even came out, Tokyo Revengers was an extremely popular manga series with a very dedicated fan base, being in the top 50 highest rated manga series on my anime list, as well as being pretty up there in popularity rankings. And to top things off, the Tokyo Revengers manga was the third highest selling manga in Japan this past quarter, with half of the top 10 best-selling shonen manga volumes belonging to Tokyo Revengers. Pairing these sales and popularity with the large amount of conversation surrounding this series on all sorts of social media platforms, we have to wonder, why are they keeping this series digital only? Now, there are two main reasons that immediately come to mind when it comes to why Kodansha is keeping this as a digital only title. The first of which is that putting a series out physically is a pretty big risk in some cases. It is a very big decision for manga publishers to decide whether they keep a manga series digital or if they decide to give it a physical release. They have to be pretty confident in one of their series to be able to put it out physically, because it is a very risky thing with all the costs that go into it. It has to succeed and turn a profit in order for the whole venture to be worth it. And while there still is an amount of risk that comes with licensing a series and just putting it out exclusively on digital, there is a lot less risk that comes along with just having it digital rather than having a physical release for a series. And the second big reason that comes to mind as to why Kodansha would want this to be a digital only series is that obviously the profit margin for a digital volume is way higher than a physical one. When you put out a manga volume physically, there are just so many parties and processes that come into play that make your portion of the pie a lot smaller, such as inking, printing, retailers, shipping, and all that stuff. Whereas with a digital volume, a lot of those processes and third parties are just completely cut out of the equation, in turn allowing more profit to go directly to the publisher. And this is the exact reason why the video game industry is heading towards a more digital landscape, because publishers figured out, oh, we can just cut out the middlemen with physical releases and just release all of our games online, that means more money for us. However, the manga industry, in my opinion, is not going towards this direction anytime soon because the differences between a physical manga experience and a digital one is far greater than a physical video game and a digital video game experience. And if you don't believe that there's a demand for physical volumes, just look at the people scalping Chainsaw Man and especially the people buying them for absurdly high prices just in order to get the experience of reading a volume physically. You know, there is a big difference. And a lot of manga readers, myself included, will often hold off on reading a series until it gets a physical release. So now we understand a couple reasons why Kodansha will potentially want to keep Tokyo Revengers as a digital-only manga, but in my personal opinion, the longer they keep doing this and put off this physical release, the more it's going to hurt their company. Even though the profit margin is a lot higher for digital volumes, in my personal opinion, the value having your manga out in bookstores, on shelves, and in YouTube videos, which can heavily influence what people read and buy. With all these things in consideration, I personally believe that if Tokyo Revengers had a physical release, overall more volumes, more units would be moved, and in turn the overall profit would be higher for Kodansha. Let's just keep it real here for a minute. Not a whole lot of people are out here buying digital volumes. The mass majority, I'd say like 80 to 90% of people who read online are just reading scans. When given the option to read a manga online through a fast and free source, or to pay for a digital copy of a volume, which can sometimes cost almost as much as it would retail for a physical copy, of course it's no surprise that the vast majority of manga readers are going to pick the first option. So until the point that Kodansha decides to release physical volumes of Tokyo Revengers, the mass majority of people actually reading this series are going to be through illegal means that have no benefit towards Kodansha. Now, in the current state of the manga industry, basically objective number one for Kodansha, as well as all the other manga publishers in the scene, is to compete with Viz Media. It is no secret that Viz Media controls the English manga industry. I mean, take a look at this chart. They have like over 60% of the entire market share, whereas Kodansha has less than 20. And as manga continues to become more popular in the West, the larger this gap will get between Viz and the rest of the pack. The hierarchy of manga publishers as it stands right now basically has Kodansha and Dark Horse kind of there in the middle. These two publishers have a great catalog of not only ongoing manga series that are doing really well, but older series that are still in print and making a lot of money for the respective companies. Then right below those two, you have Yen Press, which are a little bit more niche, but you know, they serve their role. They have some popular series. Off to the side, way out in no man's land, you have Vertical, which fill their niche. They don't have a whole lot of sales, but they do have some pretty good titles that sell pretty well. Below Yen Press, you have Seven Seas over there in the corner, putting out some weirdo shit, and you have Tokyo Pop at the bottom of the ladder, putting out the Finding Nemo Deluxe Edition, and towering above everybody else, we have, of course, the biggest manga publisher, Del Rey. I mean, Viz Media. I mean, with their insanely fleshed out catalog of classic series as well as extremely popular ongoing series, it's really not hard to see why Viz Media has such a chokehold on the entire English manga industry. Now, it would be pretty unrealistic to say that Kodansha has any sort of chance of surpassing Viz Media in the near future. Viz is just so far ahead of everybody else that it's really not a possibility, but in order to at least compete, Kodansha needs to put out physical releases of ongoing series that are promising. As it stands right now, Kodansha really doesn't have any killer licenses that would be seen as timeless classic essential manga series, with the exceptions of maybe Vinland Saga or maybe Grand Blue Dreaming. I mean, in comparison to Viz, these guys have nothing. Long story short, Viz Media will continue to leave Kodansha and the rest of the manga publishers in the West in the dust unless they can put out some more killer titles that people are looking forward to in physical editions. And lastly, I want to talk about the actual Kodansha livestream that went on yesterday as I'm recording this video. They put out a tweet saying that there's going to be some exciting news regarding Tokyo Revengers, and of course, we all know how that turned out.
So that's why I'm pretty happy to tell you that in the next episode of Kodansha Live, we are doing a Tokyo Revengers special. Yay! Artists, you can personally ask them. Of course, we will cover this his response to you. Subscribe to our Kodansha YouTube channel.
Now, don't get me wrong, I think that having a Q&A with the creator of Tokyo Revengers is a fine idea. In fact, I think it's really, really cool. But of course, when you put out those words, exciting news about Tokyo Revengers, it's very obvious that your fans and the people who buy your products are expecting a certain thing, and a lot of people think that this move was very out of touch and pretty misleading from Kodansha, and I have to agree. While of course Kodansha didn't have to do anything at all for Tokyo Revengers fans, and we're still very lucky to getting this Q&A at all, it is pretty misleading and clickbait to kind of promise this news that everybody's expecting to be physical releases, when in fact it's nothing of the sort. In a manga industry that's becoming increasingly harder for publishers that are not Viz Media, I think it's just kind of a weird and stupid move to leave on the people buying your products, the fans of your series. It's kind of weird to lead them on like this, but you know, that's all my opinion. End of the day, will Tokyo Revengers ever get a physical release? I think it's pretty obvious, but it's just kind of shocking that it hasn't happened yet. The series is still somewhat new, at least not as far gone as Kingdom, which would almost be impossible to publish physically, and the anime adaptation has been really popular and overall pretty well received from the anime community, and it's definitely boosted the interest in the manga. Kodansha even admitted it in their live stream, so I don't doubt that we'll get a physical release for Tokyo Revengers eventually, but we're just gonna have to wait a while until Kodansha decides the time is right, even though I think that the time is right now or has already passed. But I basically wanted to record this video and put it out to start a discussion about this topic, which has seemed very controversial from what I've seen on social media and all that. I think a lot of people have differing viewpoints, which I want to hear about. I want to have my mind change potentially. If you have some new insight on the industry or something I'm not seeing, definitely let me know in the comments and we'll continue this conversation. But yeah, that's basically all I have to talk about today in this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So yeah, this has been ThePromG. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, hope to catch you in the next one.